There's something in life that everyone at some point in their life has to learn, and that's quite simply not to look back. It's like I find that sometimes I'm living in the past. I'm obsessing over things that happened, I'm obsessing over things I can't change, mistakes I might have made, opportunities I didn't jump on that I wish I would have, even just nostalgia about better times in my life that I wish I could experience again. It's like for the longest time, like after I got my health issues, because it came on so suddenly, I would just sit and wish more than anything, wish I could go back to being fully healthy and not having health issues and just feeling incredible again. I started to almost beat myself up for, you know, taking it all for granted, like how good I felt, how easily I could just breathe normally. And it's been years since then. It's been years of being unhealthy and looking back on a time when I could genuinely eat whatever food I want and I didn't have acid reflux and I could breathe fully and do these things. And you catch yourself looking back. You catch yourself living in the past when things have been taken away from you, when opportunities have been lost, or anything like that. And it's so tempting. It's so easy to. I think that humans are the only species that really does this. Like animals have memory, but they don't have the same sort of like past recognition that we have, where we're constantly going back through past events and re-examining what happened and trying to build off of that. Like biologically, this is one of the major advantages we've had over other species, is that like learning capability we have from our memories and reevaluating all of it, almost like game footage if you're a football player or something. It's like humans were very prone to doing so, and there's a lot of advantages to that, because obviously, like, if you weren't able to look at your past, like if you didn't know history, you wouldn't understand how these mistakes were made, whether in your life or just in the history of mankind or other people's lives. Like there is an advantage to looking back in the past for guidance, but there's a big difference between that and living in the past, like letting yourself get caught up in these things, letting yourself be consumed by stuff that you have no control over. It's like that famous Kung Fu Panda quote, like it's actually so true. When, Ugle sits Poe down by the cherry tree and he's talking to him, the peach tree, and he's talking to him and he says like, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but the present is a gift, or something like that. Sorry, I totally butchered that. Sorry about that. But yeah, he something like that, where he's saying like, but we can change the present. Like that's something we have control over. Like that's a gift, and that's why it's called the present. I don't think it was really named that. Like I think it's just a coincidence that present and present are homophones. But like the reality is that, yeah, like we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Anything can change at a moment's notice. Like geopolitics, all these things outside of our control can change. Like the past, you really can't change it. You can only learn from it. So all you have is the present. All you have is your ability to move forward and make better decisions. And in terms of like wishing to go back to a better time in your life, like maybe it's not necessarily like regrets you have, things you want to change, but maybe just life lost all of its magic and you remember your childhood fondly, or you remember this relationship you had, or this job you had, or something, like something that's changed, and you're looking back and you wish you could go back to where you were. And it's sad. It is sad, because it's like we don't always have control over the direction of our life. Sometimes things take an unfortunate course and you're just stuck with that. Like, I didn't want to get health issues. Obviously, for years I've thought about going back to a time before I got health issues. Even like my little brother, he has different autoimmune disease completely. He has type 1 diabetes. But it's like one day, he just woke up, and it wasn't one day, it developed for a while. But yeah, like he was predisposed to it, and then he just got it. Now he has diabetes. He's gonna have to dose for it for the rest of his life, and that's unfortunate. There's things about life that are just completely out of our control, things that change, and it's hard and it's sad, and there's not an easy way to cope with it. But I'd say, like, to some extent, whatever you believe, whatever your spiritual or religious beliefs, you just have to believe blindly that if you do everything right, like if you put in the effort to improve your life and move in the direction you want to go and focus on your own peace and your own control, the things can improve and get better. And maybe you can't go back to an easier time and place. Maybe you can't be a kid again, but there's lots of opportunity for future enjoyment. There's lots of opportunity to change your perspective and make your life more childlike, make your life more just blissful and joyful in that way, like we were as children. Like maybe you can't actually bring yourself back to the circumstances that caused those emotions, but those emotions are not completely gone from you. It's just that they're buried by the sea of responsibilities and worries and anxieties about life and being an adult. Like, all those things that you're nostalgic about still exist. Well, I was watching this Instagram Shorts video the other day. I probably shouldn't use Instagram Reels at all. It's kind of brain rot, but it was kind of interesting. My friend sent me. It said like all those old buildings, like your school is still there, your old house is still there, but the people, like those experiences aren't still there. Like those video games. You might be like nostalgic about Minecraft. You might go back to the old Minecraft versions. You might do something like that, but it's not the same because what was nostalgic about it wasn't the game itself, it was those experiences as a child. Like I go back and I play Skyrim every year. There's no nostalgia attached to it like there was when I was a kid. Like it's not magical like it used to be. But that's not the fault of Skyrim. Skyrim is the same as it's always been. Like nothing has changed except for me. And I think that in a way, that's okay. Like life changes, the experiences, the chapters of your life change. Like it's not the same experience in a way. Like I think it feels like there's almost an entire like different emotion or atmosphere or like energy I carry around through my life nowadays compared to when I was a kid. It seems like an entire lifetime ago when I was just this 9-year-old kid like eating Fruit Loops or whatever. I mean, it seems kind of random to think about, but when you really stop and consider it, like it seems like a completely different life. Like our perception of reality compared to when we grow up is so much different. And being an adult, there's a lot of advantages that we have a heightened perspective of the world, and we're more able to exercise our free will and work on businesses and hit the gym and do all these things to improve our lives, like learn skills and habits. Like as a kid, you kind of just go through things passively unless your parents like specifically want you to develop a skill. So there's lots of advantages we have in that way, that we're more aware of our free will and exercising that, and that's cool. But I think that there's like this specific energy of being a child, like growing up. Maybe it's not the same for everyone, but that fades with time. That emotion, that experience of everything being new, everything being magical, and not understanding any of it. It's like the more we seem to understand, the more we try to like put everything in a box, the less magical the world seems. And although there's no getting back to that, although the time continues forward, I think that in a way, to some extent, you can bring that magic back into your life. But it's just about living in the moment. You can't be obsessing about the past. Like whatever's happened, whatever mistakes you've made, whatever things that you wish could come back, it's like all we can do is what our free will enables us to. Like some things can change, some mistakes can be rectified. Like not completely, but there are ways to sort of put a band-aid on it. Like I had a video where I talked about how I made a massive mistake playing poker with my friends and I lost a solid amount of money, and maybe there's no going back in time to that poker night and making it so I didn't place that bet, but there is like taking that as a lesson and going forward trying to focus more on building sustainable habits for making money rather than trying to like gamble, or in general just teaching me to stay away from things like that are high risk and don't usually entail a real financial reward for the most part. So it's like, looking back for lessons is good, but all you can really do is face forward and see what you can learn from those experiences in a way. Like, I don't know, there's lots of reasons why you'd want to look back. It seems very like human, very natural that, if we're looking for answers, the only place to look is our past experiences. But I think if you dwell upon past experiences and past failures, you're almost like manifesting that into your life continually, because that's your perception of reality. And whether or not you believe in like the actual spiritual aspects of manifestation or whatever, like that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Like I just mean like your actual attitude, like your perspective, like where you're putting your focus is going to draw those same things into your life in a way. And so, if you have the right attitude, if you believe in just this present moment, like if you just pretend that the past doesn't exist at all, then you're not held back by any of your failures, like how that's shaped your perspective in positive or negative ways. You're just in the moment right now, and you're unshackled, unburdened by all of that. And I think that just letting go of all of those burdens, everything in the past, just deciding not to look back and instead to focus forward, that's when you finally give yourself control again.